All right, let's talk about the internet. We're going to tackle a massive question today. Who really pulls the strings of the web we use every single day? Because there's a movement out there that wants to tear it all down and completely rebuild it from scratch. Okay, let's get into it.
I mean, really think about that for a second. You use it all the time. But when you type in a website, who actually decides where you end up? When you post something, who has the final say on whether it stays up or gets taken down? The answers? Well, they might be a lot more centralized, and for some people, a lot more concerning than you might think.
So, to really get our heads around this radical idea of a decentralized web, we first have to take a hard look at the system we've got right now and understand where its critics say all the power is concentrated. Right at the very core of today's internet, you've got this one organization, ICANN. The simplest way to think about it is as the internet's master address book. It's the coordinator for the whole system of domain names, the .coms, the .orgs, all of it, that makes the web function. And it's all designed to keep things running smoothly and securely. But what happens when that central authority itself becomes the problem?
Well, according to the sources for this explainer, this kind of centralization creates some pretty serious risks. The very structure that keeps things organized could be the same structure that allows for government surveillance. It can make censorship way easier. Critics also say that when you have a problem, your complaints can just disappear into a void. You've got no real way to fight back. And those top-level domains like .com, they become these critical choke points for control.
Khalid Omana, who's a really key voice in this whole movement, puts it in pretty stark terms. He says the very technology that's supposed to connect all of us has become a potential weapon. And that kind of fear, it really makes you wonder, okay, so what's the alternative?
And in response to all those perceived threats, a completely different vision for the internet has started to take shape. And we're not talking about just tweaking the current system. We're talking about replacing it, the whole thing. And here you can really see the two philosophies clash. On one side, you've got the internet we all know. It's controlled by ICANN, domain names are basically commercial products you buy and sell, and the whole structure is potentially vulnerable to surveillance. But on the other side, you have the dream. An internet with no central boss, where resources aren't for sale, and the architecture itself is built from the ground up to resist surveillance and give users autonomy. A world without ICANN. Just let that sink in for a minute. This is the huge, monumental idea at the heart of this entire movement. Imagine an internet where no single organization is in charge of handing out names and numbers, a network that just grows organically from user to user, peer to peer. It is a massive departure from everything we know.
So is this all just a bunch of talk? Is it just theory? Well, not entirely. There's one project out there trying to make these ideas a reality in a very unconventional way. It really makes you ask, are they building a new internet or are they trying to build a new kind of country online?
This is REGENCYBER, and it presents itself as a very serious, very long-term project. I mean, look at this timeline. A constitution was decreed way back in 2015. They got official branding. They're even pointing to a U.S. space decree as part of their legal foundation. They're trying to be more than just some website. They call themselves a community ship, like a sovereign digital nation.
And in 2022, they established this official title for their leader, Khalid Omana, who we heard from a minute ago. The title translates to His Galaxial Majesty. Yeah, that one detail alone really gives you a sense of the unique and ambitious scale of what this project is going for.
So the philosophy behind REGENCYBER is a concept they created called fractionation. This is their own internal logic that, from what we can tell, argues that digital things can be legally fractioned off or separated from the laws of physical countries. And they say this creates the legal basis for what they're calling the first de facto online state, a completely digital entity. And get this, they have a new addressing system planned to go live in July of the year 2324. Talk about playing the long game. So how do you get in on this? Well, REGENCYBER has a few ways you can participate.
You can become a citizen or register an entity, like a business. You could even register a subject, and that category apparently includes children or even robots and AI. For all of these, you secure your spot with a donation.
Okay, so Regency's Barb is one wild example of the what. But what about the how? How would you actually go about building a new internet that's free from all this central control? Well, the movement has some technical ideas.
So, how does this new web actually work under the hood? The whole vision really hangs on three key pieces of tech. First, you've got peer-to-peer networks. That just means users connect directly to each other, cutting out the need for a central server in the middle. Second is blockchain. You can use it to create a public, decentralized record of who owns what web address, replacing ICANN. And third, you have protocols like IPFS. That's the Interplanetary File System, which breaks up content and stores it across tons of different computers. That makes it incredibly hard for any one person or government to block or delete information.
Now, this isn't just some technical exercise for a handful of programmers. The source material for this explainer really frames it as an urgent, collective mission, something for everyone who uses the internet to think about.
So in the end, the message is basically a call to action. It's a plea to unite and build new tools, to completely rethink the web's foundations, and to bake in principles like freedom of expression right from the very beginning. It's a call for developers, for activists, for regular citizens to mobilize and build an internet that, in their eyes at least, truly serves the people who use it.
Which leaves us with the really big question, right? Are we looking at the next great evolution of the internet here? A future that's more free, more open, more resilient for all of us? Or is this whole vision, with its digital states and galactical majesties, just an unworkable fantasy? The debate is really just getting started, and you could say the future of the web is hanging in the balance.